Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to another episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is match day review showtime, and it, of course, is Saturday evening this time around, such is the nature of Easter football. But I'm here to look back on what was a decent enough 1-1 draw at Whaddon Road against Cheltenham on a Good Friday. We knew going into the game that it was between two sides that had nothing to play for, essentially, other than professional pride and potentially new contracts, because Cheltenham and Gillingham were the only two sides in the division at the time that couldn't get promoted and couldn't get relegated. So anyone who watches the preview knows that I spoke to Mark Halliwell, Cheltenham reporter, who said it was going to be El Beachico. But I actually thought the game was all right, to be fair. You know, that it was a bit blustery. It wasn't the best conditions. The pitch was all right, to be fair, given the time of the season. That was quite impressive. But yeah, I think in terms of effort, both sides gave 110%, but there was certainly a lack of quality at times, and certainly elements of the football match, the longer it went on, represented an end-of-season game, a dead rubber. But we'll go back to 2 o'clock Friday afternoon, first and foremost, and look at the Gills team news. And there were 3 changes from last Saturday's 1-0 victory against MK Dons. The 3 to come out were Ewan Williams, injured, Aaron Rowe, who dropped to the bench, and Armani Little, who I assume must have had a knock or was being rested for Easter Monday against his former club Wimbledon, because he wasn't in the 11 at all, the 18 at all, sorry. The 3 to come in to that starting 11 were Nelson Kambeni alongside Robbie McKenzie in the middle of the park, and he skippered the side. Jack Nolan into the 10, and then Jimmy J Morgan up front alongside Elliot Nevitt. So the team in full was Holtam in goal, a back 3 of Gale, Masterson and Ogie. Wing-backs once again, Hutton and Clark. And then, as we've already mentioned, Kambeni partnering McKenzie in the middle of the park, and then Nolan supporting Nevitt and Jimmy J Morgan. Last week's match winner, Bradley Dack, again had to settle for a place on the bench. We started superbly, didn't we? Like, really, really quick. We got on the front foot, we pinned them back immediately. There was a couple of balls went into the box, and then we earned a free kick, sort of 30 yards out, just right of central as we were looking at it from the other end of the pitch. And for all the world, I certainly was thinking, right, it's going to be a clip to the back post, which has served us well in recent weeks, and then, you know, try and play off the knockdown. But Jack Nolan, who started the game really, really well, plays a really, really cute reverse pass into the path of Jimmy J Morgan, who's just sort of peeled off his man. It's a great first touch from Morgan, just sort of drags it into a shooting position and then shows all the calmness you want from a centre forward, left-footed across Joe Day and into the bottom corner. The clock was only on about 1 minute, and Morgan's off knee sliding in front of the home fans, which was a brilliant, brilliant start. Gills fans were in full voice, which was excellent. And I must admit, I whispered to Nick, I said, is this the day that we go and give someone a hiding? So you can blame me. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out quite like that. We know that this is still a work in progress for Gareth Ainsworth and Richard Dobson. It's still a work in progress in terms of finding the best players to suit a system. He's persisted with this 3-4-1-2, hasn't he, over his 6 games in charge so far, sorry. But obviously he's not really had a full week on the training ground, so there's still going to be elements of our game that need work and need improving on, and that showed. Cheltenham, in fairness to them, responded really well. They got themselves on the front foot. What we didn't do well enough, I didn't think, after taking the lead was getting that second. And we had a couple of chances, didn't we? Elliot Nevitt drove one straight down Joe Day's throat. We got into good areas and then sort of overran the ball or picked the wrong pass or slightly overhit or underhit a cross, which has been familiar throughout the season and isn't going to be cured immediately. But the biggest problem for me is we started giving cheap free kicks away. And we said at the time, and it was great to see Nelson Kambeni get a start, but you could tell that him and Robbie McKenzie had not played together. You could tell that Jack Nolan hadn't featured for a while, certainly in a central role, because we bought him as a winger. So it was a you know, an unfamiliar triangle. There you go, you can see that, in the middle of the park. And at times we looked a little bit open, and that was no one's fault. It's just Gareth, like he said, he's going to try and give everybody a chance, which he's doing. An unfamiliarity with each other's games. But yeah, it just felt that Robbie McKenzie was exposed at times, and they had the freedom of the middle of the pitch. So then we had to become a little bit last ditch, and we started giving away cheap free kicks in dangerous areas. And I can't remember their lad's name. The ginger fella had a good left foot. There was lots of good balls coming in from our left back side. That seemed to be an area they was targeting. And we defended them, you know, okay for the main. I think Taite Holtam come and claimed one. We was heading stuff away. But unfortunately, they were pushing us back and back and back. And that pressure eventually will tell. And it did. And it's another ball in from that side. We don't defend it well enough, do we? It comes all the way to the back stick. We don't challenge. Sam Stubbs is there, big lump. It's not like you can miss him. He gets up and heads it. I'm not sure whether he's going for goal, but he heads it back across Taite Holtam towards the far corner. There were shouts from our fans for offside, but the bloke in the middle, whether he's in front of play or not, doesn't go towards the ball or attempt to play it. So it's a perfectly legal goal for me. Fans apparently having a go at Taite Holtam, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. This is a kid who's making his second senior appearance. So if you're digging him out for a goal that's not even his fault, then give your head a wobble, is what I'd say. Accusations of he should have gone with his hands. I've got it on camera. We've seen the highlights. He does. He goes with his left hand. He can't get there. The problem doesn't arise if we defend the back post a bit better, don't we? You know, if we get goal side and we go and attack the ball like we've done previously. But it meant a regroup and a reset again, didn't it? Could we then get ourselves back on the front foot? Because we've taken the lead in the last few games, haven't we, under Gareth Ainsworth? We've taken the lead. All right, MK Dons, it was late, so we won the football match. Took the lead yesterday against Cheltenham. We took the lead at Salford, at Chesterfield. The trick then, certainly in them away games, is being able to manage the game a little bit better and get ourselves over the line rather than being pegged back. I don't know, the old cliche is if you draw your away games and win your home games, you're going to be in the right position in the table. But it's just something, like I said, that needs improving and something that we will get better at. After that, the first half belonged to Cheltenham, didn't it? They continued to probe and press without really creating anything clear-cut. Taite made a good save, left-handed from distance. There was another effort from the edge of the box that got dragged just wide of the post. I think Taite may have had covered. And in terms of us, in an attacking sense, we were very fleeting again, unfortunately, and it looked like we needed half-time. But we got to the interval at 1 each, which I was happy with, given how the last 30 minutes of that opening period had gone. I thought there might have been a change at the break, but there wasn't. Gareth said, right, the boys are going to go back out there and they're going to try and get back on the front foot. In truth, as the game went on, it became more of an end-of-season game. It just started to fizzle out a little bit. I mean, we're not without chances. I've forgotten to talk about, the one talking point at the end of the first half was Sam Gale's disallowed goal, where the ball comes in from Max Clark. Again, it's a cute free kick. Instead of just lumping box, we go wide to Max Clark. He delivers the ball. Nevitt challenges, headed up in the air. We can't see a lot wrong from our end, certainly, but we are a long way away. We have to sort of use that as a caveat. But I think even Michael Flynn's come out and said that he can't understand why it's been ruled out. So Nevitt challenges with the keeper. The ball sort of heads towards the goal line. Sam goes up with their centre half and it sort of bounces off him and he stabs it in from about 3 inches and wheels away to celebrate, only to see it ruled out. But, you know, there's not a great angle of it. You probably need to be a Cheltenham fan behind that goal to get a proper view, and potential handball, potential foul, I'm not really sure. But second half, like I say, was much of a muchness. They probably had more of the ball. They probably had more territory without doing loads with it. It was a lot of the same stuff I felt from Cheltenham second half, and that was, you know, and it had worked. So that was get it wide and get it into the box. But I thought Gale, who was a bit unsteady first half, he got better as the game went on. Connor Masterson improved as the game went on. Shadogi probably was the pick of our centre-halves. We know he's still got a moment in him where he takes a chance, but I thought in terms of everything that he had to do instinctively, he did it really well. So we was able to head stuff clear and get blocks in. We made changes, didn't we? Was Bradley... Yeah, Bradley Dack was the first one, wasn't he? He came on for Jimmy J. Morgan, who'd taken a couple of whacks, but was actually decent for an hour. And it was nice to see Jimmy show us what he can do as a centre-forward. If you've watched my videos over recent weeks, I didn't like the experiment with him as a 10, but the goal's really good. I've already said that's a great first touch and finish across the keeper. But he was withdrawn. So it looked like we went for a little while at least to like a 3-4-2-1 with Jack and Bradley playing off of Elliot Nevitt. But then that soon changed again. Jack Nolan was replaced by Johnny Williams. So same system, still got 2 central midfielders that are protecting that back 3. You still are trying to get at least 1 wing back high all the time. And you're trying to get 2 attack-minded midfielders closer to Elliot Nevitt. Nevitt had a half chance, did he? Sort of ball to the back stick where he's headed it against the back of the defender, which went out for a corner. Tate's made another good save, shot from the edge of the box that he's palmed over the bar. And I just want to talk about Taite again, and it goes back to my point about if fans are digging him out for a goal that's not his fault. Like, he's 18, 19 years old. He's never played a senior game until last week. And this game was always going to be very different compared to the MK Dons fixture. MK Dons is at home. First half, he's got the Rainer men behind him, backing him up, encouraging him. Second half, he's got an empty stand. MK Dons were just housing the corner of the Rainer end. And let's be honest, they were blunt as anything, weren't they, in an attacking sense. He didn't have anything to do aside from come and claim crosses and kick the ball long last weekend. This was going to be very different. It's an away game. The atmosphere is different. Second half particularly, when he's got, you know, a couple of thousand Cheltenham fans behind him, giving him all sorts of stick. There's going to be nerves. There was a couple of kicks that went wayward. One went out of touch, two went out of touch. But Tate's done nothing wrong in that game again. He's come and got stuff from the edge of the box. He's swept up. He's punched crosses. There was one in the first half. He took a huge whack. And we're all thinking, right, who's going in goal? But again, I thought just as the game went on, he just got better and better. And it'll only help him. Huge learning curve. And this is the time to do it, isn't it? Like, this isn't the place to be now digging out players and individuals or the managers. Gareth said he's going to experiment to a degree without, you know, compromising the integrity of the competition. And we're going to have to be aware of that in our last three because Wimbledon are in amongst an automatic promotion push. Swindon's still got an outside chance of the playoffs. And Port Vale last day of the season could need to beat us to win the title, invariably. So Gareth's trying to get the balance right, give minutes to people, look at people, but try and win football matches. So everything's not going to be perfect. So I think Tate's been great, you know, considering, I think the last time we saw him, well, last time I saw him was Sheppey in the summer in a pre-season friendly playing for a young Gills 11. So to be making consecutive league appearances just a few months later is testament to his work and the work of the coaching staff and the trust that Gareth puts in him. So that's my bit on Taite. I thought he was decent enough again. You know, there's bits he can do better. He knows that. But he's a kid learning the game and he's been thrust into it in the last 2 weeks and he's done all right. And he'll only get better. Yeah, second half, like, we'll get back to that. Say Elliot Nevitt had a chance. Sam Gale had a chance. Joe Day, unfortunately from our point of view, it was at a good height and he managed to palm it away. Jimmy mate Jay Morgan had nearly got in, hadn't he, by the touchline and then the byline before his withdrawal, but Joe Day come out and smothered it. Michael Flynn said he thinks they should have won the game based on possession. I thought a draw was right. They might have had more ball, but I don't think they did any more with it than us. And like I say, everything just sort of fizzled out towards the end. We had one late chance, didn't we? Ball came in from Max Clark. Johnny Williams managed to flick on a header. Yes, do not adjust your sets. I did say that, right? Johnny Williams up between two centre-halves, flicking it to the back post. And Ollie Hawkins, I'm not sure whether to stick or twist, to wait for it or try and come and just edit in front of Joe Day, but they sort of both got there at the same time and it went out for a corner. And I think from the clearance from said corner, that was when the final whistle was blown. But yeah, we'd introduced Ollie, hadn't we? We'd introduced Aaron Rowe, was bright in a short cameo again. I imagine there'll be changes for Monday because it's such a short turnaround. If Glenn's fit, I imagine Glenn comes back in. Back three likely stays the same for me. I think Armani comes back in and skippers the side if he's fit, in place of Nelson Kambeni. I don't think he swapped the wing backs out at the moment because they've both been super solid. For me, Ramo Hutton was probably the player of the match for Gillingham. If you just look at all of our defensive players, Taite very good, you know, relatively speaking, considering where he's come from and what was going on in the game. Conor Masterson had a dodgy start, kept letting stuff go over his head. Sam Gale, question marks for him at the back stick for the goal. Shad, a couple of times took chances, but probably the pick of the centre half. For me, the wing backs were fine again, and out of the two, Ramo Hutton was probably the better. Max got targeted a little bit, didn't he? And that's where their joy was coming from. So for me, Hutt's man of the match. I keep saying that he's been much improved in recent weeks, and that goes back to the end of the John Coleman reign as well. I think the system suits him. So yeah, you keep them, like I say, and then I think for me, Dacky's got to start. We have to give him at least 1 or 2 starts in the final 3 to see what he can do over a longer period in a game. And then the front two will be, you know, could be a mixture, couldn't it? We could bring Joe Bode back in for his pace and his power and his direct running. Could bring Hawks in if you want to go direct a bit quicker to play off of Nev. Jimmy J Morgan, you'd like to think might stay in the side having scored a goal, but he come off with potentially a knock. And then the bench, I think, will change up again. We need to see Ethan Coleman, or Gareth certainly does. We know what he can do. He was our Player of the Year last season. Jaden Clark come back in. Will Aaron Rowe get a start? Will they give Jack Nolan another chance? At some point, I'd like to see us play a back four in the final three as well. But again, it's looking at the opposition and what they've got riding on their season as well. But all in all, I thought the draw was a fair result. There was one half shout for a penalty near the end, wasn't there, for Cheltenham. Ball got flung into the box. There might be some contact, but it's not enough for the fella to go down like Swan Lake. And I just thought Cheltenham resorted to that a little bit towards the end. There was a desperation to try and win a penalty or a free kick. They was going down at the slightest contact. I remember there was one player went down, looked at the referee, rolled around a couple of times and then jumped up absolutely fine when he knew he wasn't getting the decision off the man in the middle. And there was a few people around us that were criticising the referee. Graham, I've forgotten his name, Premier League referee. You know, we know what we get at League Two. I didn't think he got many of the big decisions wrong, to be fair to him. And there was a bit of banter with the crowd as well, which I think is the best way to deal with it. And what we have to realise is if you're going to get on his back within earshot in a small ground where the crowd's not massive, are you then likely to get decisions when they're 50-50? Is he more inclined to give it to your team or the other team? That's where I'll leave that. But I want to finish up on a huge positive, and that positive is Good Friday. 4 games from the end of the season. Bank holiday weekend, so traffic and travel is going to be difficult. Dead rubber. Really, really is the most dead of dead rubbers. And we take 732 fans to watch said dead rubber. We really do have the best support. And I know all fan bases say that about their own support, but that is a ridiculous number for a game that's got nothing riding on it apart from 3 points. But in the grand scheme of things, nothing at all. So very proud to be part of that 700 plus. Atmosphere was brilliant in our end. We sort of, myself and Nick took over and sat sort of right of centre because we thought all the hardcore support would be right in the middle behind the goal. But no, they was around us, and to be fair, Ava absolutely loved it. She knows what she can sing. She knows what she can't sing. She knows what to ignore. She knows when to hit Dad if he says the wrong words. And that's been quite a lot this season with our performances and the referees that we have to put up with. But no, really, really good day. Another proper little football league ground in Cheltenham. Really enjoyed it. Second visit, second draw. Friendly staff, helpful stewards. Only marked down for me is, again, no match day programme of any description, which is a real shame because I love picking up a programme from every ground that I visit, and it sadly seems to be fading out of the game due to printing costs and that type of thing. But for me, they should be at every football ground. But just price it accordingly to your printing. It doesn't have to be huge. If it's majority adverts and there's a couple of bits about each side, charge £1, £1.50. If there's more, charge £2.50. If there's loads, charge £3.50. You know, I'm not an expert on costings and that type of thing, but I'd love there to be a way round it so that people can pick up a souvenir of the game, or at least a team sheet or something to say that you've been to the football match. But anyway, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, whether you're a Gills fan or a Cheltenham fan, I really do appreciate it. Thanks for all the views on the Match Day Live. I think this one is not quite there yet, and neither's the Walsall home one, but apart from that, every league match that we've covered this season on the channel's gone over 1,000 views. So if you can, watch this one, maybe go back, stick the Walsall one on in the background. If we get every league game to 1,000 or more, I'll be so happy, because the support really is appreciated. Be back Monday at the Priestfield for another big game as we host the promotion chasing Wimbledon, the proper Wimbledon, the proper Dons. That should be a really good game. Johnny Jackson's side right in there. I think we owe them one, don't we, from the away game when they scored with a handball. I'm joking. We need to be better than we was on the night. But yeah, as always, like I say, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please press that like button. Please hit subscribe. And until next time, up the Gills.